Newly obtained White House records reveal the Biden administration admitted to flying hundreds of thousands of illegal migrants into the country. Now, those records were obtained by the Center for Immigration Studies through a FOIA lawsuit, and they show that over 320,000 migrants were flown over the border using Biden's CBP One app. However, in responding to that info request, listen to this. The administration refused to reveal just which U.S. airports those migrants landed at. At the Center for Immigration Studies writes, quote, "The public can't know the receiving airports because those hundreds of thousands of CBP authorized arrivals have created such operational vulnerabilities at airports that bad actors could undermine law enforcement efforts to secure the United States border if they even knew the volume of CBP One traffic processed at each port of entry." Frightening is an understatement. And Elon Musk weighing in, saying this, quote, "This administration is both importing voters and creating a national security threat from unvetted illegal immigrants. It is highly probable that the groundwork is being laid for something far worse than 9/11. He writes, just a matter of time. Hemmer.
Well, he's wrong about that last one there. I remember it was White Plains, New York, when the first flights started coming in. I just looked it up. It was October 2021. Those were underage migrants who were down the border in Texas that were flown up to White Plains. You remember the outrage there, and this was done under the cover of night. Everybody thought, what's going up out there? The Center for Immigration Studies took a look at this. They think it's legally dubious that you'd be able to do this, fly from another country up here. But in all likelihood, it's Venezuela, because that's where the app is being used a lot, and perhaps Cuba as well. There's a few other countries that were listed here: Nicaragua, Guatemala, Honduras, Colombia, Ecuador. I said a few. El Salvador, on and on the list goes. They should tell us where they're coming from, and they should tell us where they're going now.
That's right. And there were questions about, remember, the actual ages of those underage migrants, because many of them were posing as juveniles, and in fact we learned were actually on certain recidivist lists that shouldn't be there. The whole question, to Bill's point, is that, all right, so we know a handful of where they're from. Where are they going? Where are they now? And why are American citizens not being told? Why are these towns not being told until a flood just comes undernight and undermines everything?
Well, can I just say thank you, Elon? I totally agree with everything you said in your tweet. But, I mean, I've heard Democrats try to make the argument of, oh, illegal aliens don't commit crimes at a higher rate than native-born Americans. But are you not increasing the odds when you're letting well, first of all, I don't believe that, because they're already breaking the law in coming here or taking advantage of our system. Exactly. You're increasing the odds when you're letting millions of people enter into the United States, also a record number on the terror watch list as well. So you're of course, increasing the odds. And I think the reason why we're seeing all this happen is something that Biden's AG, Merrick Garland, said the other day. And he said that voter ID requirements and restrictions in ballot boxes are discriminatory, burdensome, and unnecessary. So you're simultaneously allowing millions of people to enter into the United States, newcomers, as Joe Biden says it, while also saying you want to get rid of voter ID requirements. You do the math.
Yeah, well, look, a new way to get around a checkpoint. You can come in by air. And the fact that they're unvetted is exactly what they're doing. They're coming in illegally then, because if you're legal and you're going to a checkpoint, you got to, albeit it's not enough vetting, but at least some approach is tried at that point. But if you're coming this way, no. And you know who first alerted me to this? It was toward the beginning of Biden's administration. Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee said, Harris, I've got a couple pictures. There are these flights that are landing with kids in the middle of the night in my state of Tennessee. They are so practiced at doing this. I wonder now, though, that Haiti has completely fallen to the hands of lawlessness, if they'll be helping out Haiti. You see, those people actually, at this point, have a reason for asylum. I can't promise you, though, they'd vote for you. I don't know. You'd have to talk with each of them. So Biden, don't insult anybody by telling them that just because you flew the black people here, if you choose to do that, they'll vote for you. But my question is, why the countries that are on that list? The lawlessness in Venezuela is heart disturbing. I mean, is there a reason for asylum for them? You've already said 500,000 could have visas. I think we need to know now the details because he's practiced at this. His administration is with flying these kids around.
That's right. And those ghost flights, this is in addition to that. And to your point about Venezuela, we know that the organized crime, the organized gang unit activity, the narco cartels are thriving right now on a human smuggling and a concerted effort to push those Venezuelans across the border of certain dubious nature and intents. Like the questions are massive, but we can see the result. The writing's on the wall. Elon Musk said it, and we know what's happening to our cities that are being depleted of all resources and safety.
So you make a really good point. Those ghost flights are the flights with those minors. We learned about these family reunification flights by the Center of Immigration Studies, by a FOIA request, a separate flight program. I bring this up because a FOIA request from a private organization figured this out. There's so much secrecy on the border. I believe one day we'll look back and we will see that the Friday number dumps of illegal immigrants. We'll look back and see the emergency intake facilities that were so opaque, kids eating raw chicken feathers, kids on suicide watch lists. We will learn a lot if reporters do their digging, if more FOIA requests come. And then finally, the last point is the parking garages in Brownsville where illegal immigrants were being processed through. That's just a little we learned from reporters doing digging. Imagine if all the press, all the liberal press, did the digging.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, it's the tip of the iceberg. And remember this from a president who promised transparency in government.